I'm just having a cup of coffee, and I decided I was going to do this as a visual essay, and who knows, maybe I'll pare it down to that eventually, because I don't expect anyone to be on right now. But I wanted to talk a bit about my journey, my cinematic journey, my roots per se of film watching, because although I'm known a lot for the horror genre, that's kind of like my one of my go-tos because I grew up in the '80s, so I love a lot of that stuff. But myself and most people my age, uh, that wasn't our cinematic roots. That's not where we started at. Especially if you're Canadian. Now it could depend on like where you live. Of course, everybody has a different journey. I'm getting to see like a lot of the different types of cinema, like the Asian cinema, the different stuff that's come out recently from whether it's from Deaf Crocodile or seeing stuff that Shout or Arrow's putting out. But I didn't grow up with that, and most of you that are watching my videos, you never grew up with that. Um, you grew up with maybe a lot of the same stuff that I grew up with, especially if you're around this age. See, what we had prior to VHS and DVD is what we had late night. We had a late night like movies, and late night movies back then usually meant one specific thing. It meant you were going to see a lot of classic older cinema, something along the lines of Universal or Paramount or AIP. Um, but more than likely, a lot of the stuff you were going to see was stuff like this right here, like this. This is the Carl Lombard set from Kino. Kino is a great company for putting out a lot of these earlier releases, putting a lot of stuff that one is really interesting and fun to watch, and that just does great cinema. All three of these films are absolutely fantastic. There's not a bad film among the bunch of this collection right here. The infamous poster for Love Before Breakfast, which actually makes sense to the film in and of itself. It's Carol Lombard with a bit of a shiner there. Um, and that's why I like companies like Kino. This is why I like companies like Imprint, because the stuff that they're putting out is the stuff by far and large of my youth, of my childhood. Most of us didn't grow up on like younger people didn't grow up on like the slasher genre or the horror genre. We got that in our teens. We didn't grow up on like Asian unless we were traveling through Asia. We didn't grow up in Asian cinema. We grew up on a lot of these like the Frank Capras, the David Leans. Um, so it's nice like as an adult to discover all the different types of world cinema. Hey there. But I would really like to go back and discover and really see the roots of the stuff that I used to watch. That's why for me things like the film noir sets that came out from Kino. I think there's like 20 of these now. Uh, her just some pretty incredible stuff. Even things that go along the lines of the Imprints TV movie of the week were kind of what I grew up watching. See, that's what we had. We had like either one channel or, if we're lucky, we had like a cable channel. Um, I didn't have one channel growing up, and when I went to like bigger urban areas, we had like three. We grew up like watching a lot of these here TV movies, and we talked about them the next day at school. If you'd seen them or not. Like I was 10 years old when Fallen Angel and Terror Among Us came out. And I remember watching these. Actually, I remember like us talking about these um, in in school. I know I saw Shattered Spirits as well. Um, Martin Sheen's is one of those that I used to watch. Roxana Azal is kind of fantastic when it comes to this as well. So this is the stuff that I actually watched. This is how I wasn't watching Friday the 13th until I became like around like 9 or 10. But I was watching stuff like The Uninvited on TV. This was the type of films that would go on to be on my TV screens late at night on the couch, sitting back with like Ritz crackers and some cheese and some pickles and a cup of tea. And I just sometimes like have a blanket. I have it turned up just enough so that I could hear it. I'd be right next to the TV screen with the lights turned off so that hopefully so that my grandparents didn't know that I was staying up late watching watching like movies late at night. And there's like a cutoff point back then. TV didn't run all night. It usually ran till you got your news, you got the late movie, and then it was the sign off until morning when like the news would come on again. And that's incredible. That's a stunning part of time for me. An absolutely incredible journey to. I think a lot of people around my age, a lot of Gen Xers, we grew up with films like that. We were raised differently. We were on our own a lot more, and we found our own entertainment, and that became a lot of that became we played outside till like 9:30 at night, and then we'd come inside, have lunch, and do our homework if we had homework. Hey there, and then at night we'd watch TV. And if you were like me and you were an insomniac, you stayed up late watching well, if you're in Canada, you watch the CBC late movie, which is how I grew up. It started and fueled my love of cinema to this day. That's why this channel's been going on for 14 years, because because I can't shut up and talk about a lot of stuff, uh, but two, because I can talk about cinema. I can talk about a lot of the stuff that I absolutely adore, and sometimes I feel like I get away from that as I start to talk about the whatever's trending, and I try to rein back and talk more about what's pure to me, the stuff that I like that intrigues me, and hopefully that's interesting to at least a fraction of the people on here that are watching these videos. Hopefully you can relate a bit to somebody that I don't get everything come sent to me. I buy most stuff myself. Um, I have to journey quite a way sometimes to get the movies that I like, and that's a bit more. It's unique to my situation as well, in that I have to travel quite a ways to get to the films that I love. I'm not able to avail of all the sales that all you guys can, but I'm here to hopefully help you guys to maneuver your ways to get the best stuff that you can get. And where I'm a bit older, and in some cases, from me watching this, a lot older, hopefully some of the mistakes that I made along the way with collecting and some of the things I did that turned out to be okay will come across on the channel. I love movies. I love watching films. It's one of my purest pleasure pastimes. The most innocent, wonderful thing I can do, aside from being with my kitty cats. Hopefully, this is making sense. It's not coming off as too much of a ramble, but I wanted to talk about that today. I wanted to talk about that because right now there's a couple sales going on. Right now, the Criterion sale is going on. Actually, I don't know if I had a good conversation in recent times about my mistakes in collecting gaming, but that is an absolutely imperative video to make, actually. I know I've talked about like a few things in the past. I'll mention a couple things here. Sometimes I find, and you can let me know how you feel about this, because it's no good to come on to somewhere like this. Well, you can, I guess, and present yourself as infallible, or present yourself as like okay, or knowing it all, or doing everything absolutely right, because nobody's we're human. Nobody does that. Some of our mistakes, especially when you're collecting stuff, it can be costly, right? We can get caught up in the crowd. So one of the things about being here on in this format on YouTube is that there's a bunch of us out there that talk cinema, talk movies, and that. There can be, and there has been, the aspect of kind of keeping up the Joneses, keeping up to the people that are next to you, the towns that are around you. When you start buying things, not because they're things that you want to buy, but you're getting things because you want to hit within an algorithm, because you want to be part of that cool group. You may pick up movies that you wouldn't normally pick up. You may be getting things that are a bit out of your price range, uh, just because you want to. Like when I say you might, this is me, because I have said, okay, yeah, I want to get that. I know that looks cool. Everybody else seems to be like kind of loving that stuff. I guess I should be talking about this. But if I'm true to me, if I'm 100% like true to the cinema guy that I am, I probably watch a lot more of this than some of the stuff that I actually sometimes talk about on the channel. I I didn't pick up the Neverending Story when it came out, the big the big collector's edition from Imprint, the expensive one. And at the time, I thought, well, I'm not going to fall into that like that hype train of it's a big edition and all this. Like I don't care about that. I cared, man. I really did. Like it got to me. There's times that I haven't bought things, and I want to put this right. There's times that I've bought things that I probably didn't need. There's times that I spent money that I probably didn't have. There's times that I may have just like frivolously done stuff, but at the same time, on the flip side of that, on the other side of that coin, and the dark side of that alley, there are times when I have actively not bought things that I probably really wanted to prove a point to no one, which is idiotic of me, right? Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to you. If you listen to this, hopefully this makes sense to you. There are releases that I wanted that I missed out on because now sometimes it's a timing thing, sometimes it's a money thing, but other times it's like, okay, I can grab that down the road, or that's not that important to me, and they'll come up on something that'll go to print, and a lot of things come back in print, right? So it's cyclical, so that's not always a big issue, but sometimes there are things, and I think every collector has this, that you look at, that you find online, that's going to hit you, that you missed out on, right? Everybody has it. I think everybody's got those white whales. I think it was getting moved because someone else said exactly. There's the thing too. Well, actually, it has to be your vibe. It's good, like it's good every once in a while to go out on that limb, right, and to pick up that blind buy. However, it's 2025. Movies have gotten cheaper. The days of being able to frivolously explore are not as prevalent as they used to be. It's okay to pick up a movie at $15 or $20 that you may not have seen. It's a whole other story to pick up a $50 or $60, $75 4K release, just on like say my recommendation or recommendation of other people on whatever channel. It helps to, when you're watching people online or you're reading reviews, to look back and see if that person's viewpoint or that person's like vibe kind of like goes with you. And that may not always be the case, right? There may be times like I'm a lover of Black Christmas in 1974. That's one of my favorite films of all time. It's my favorite film of all time, my most watched film of all time. But you might hate that film, but we might agree on neo noirs. We may both agree on things like To Live and Die in L.A. or the music of Ennio Morricone, or Goblin's scores on Argento versus Morricone's scores on the earlier Argento. So there may be places that we diverge and places that we agree. It's just finding that happy medium and knowing yourself. And it's something that we have to learn. You don't go into, if you do, like amazing, wonderful. collecting cinema or collecting anything really, knowing yourself totally, there will be growing pains. There will be mistakes made. There will be happy accidents as well. It's not a totally negative thing. It's there will be these happy accidents. Um, I was in Morocco for the first time, and I went to Casablanca. And at the time, they had physical media stores. They had a place called Fnac, which I go to a lot in Paris and in Spain. But it was my first time going there. I was at the Casablanca Mall, and I grew up with like Charlie Chaplin, and I grew up with Buster Keaton. They would come on in the afternoons, like when I would come home from school, especially Chaplin. Chaplin came on a lot with like Ronald Howard's Sherlock Holmes. Um, but I digress. I was at the Casablanca Mall. I was trying to find movies that actually had English on them and that were interesting to me. And I found a Jacques Tati set. Prior, this is before the Criterion one had come out, and I remembered a little bit about Tati. I hadn't seen a lot of his work. Now, I'd seen like one of the biggest things inspired by Tati. I'd seen Mr. Bean, which is if you've seen Mr. Bean, and you haven't seen Jacques Tati. Well, massive amounts of like Mr. Bean's character is in a character called Monsieur Houlet um, from Tati, and it was what I consider one of the better happy accidents that I've had. And my better half grew up in Morocco, and she had a lot of European influences when it came to cinema. So she had introduced, whereas I knew Anya Varda a bit. I wasn't as familiar with her husband, uh, Jacques Demy, but I was able to, with her, uh, discover things like Podan, Donkey Skin. I think I'd seen when I was younger at a retro theater, the Umbrellas of Cherbourg, but I hadn't seen the Young Girls of Rochefort, and that is today one of my favorite films of all time. It's just this magnificently magical film that blends kind of modern day musical, or modern day at the time, like musicals, like the Busby Berkeley style musicals, with dance sequences, with a serial killer, and with like a foreign cinema romance like aspect to it. It's all these things that shouldn't work together, but in the concoction that Jacques Demy places it really does. It works together extremely well. So now it is the second day of the imprint sale. I don't think I'm able to get anything, but I have been. Oh my God. Hopefully this is still working because she just knocked down the internet. My cat's going nuts this morning. It happens, right? If you're still there, please let me know. Somebody make a comment, a nice comment. But somebody laughed when I said make a nice comment. Goes to show you. All right, coffee's a man fueled. Where was I before we were really interrupted? Yeah, it's this wonderful mixture, this almost collaboration, this smorgasbord of cinematic styles. Now I know today the Barnes and Noble sales started as well, so the Criterion sale is out there too, and I'll probably do a video later on tonight talking about it. I'm not sure if I'll do a live or I'll do one that's not live. We'll see, but I'll do a video nonetheless for that. I do have a few Criterions in my collection. What I had planned this year was to get a bunch of imprints, and life happened, and I'm hoping to get some, but I really don't know if I'll be able to avail of the sale. But you can see some of my imprints, sorry, some of my Criterions in the background there, from the Zadichi set to, some of the stuff that I really liked. The Criterion Collection, because my Criterion's cost so much that although I did a few of the titles that were blind buys, I usually kept those on DVD or like the cheaper Blu-ray format. So when I bought Criterion, in a lot of cases, when I buy stuff like that, it was stuff that I really that I really liked that actually represented me quite well. So I'm a big Sternberg fan. So I picked up a lot of like I picked up some Sternberg. I like French New Wave cinema. So Breathless is kind of the classic when it comes to that, but more so. Hey there, Robert. We got Ace in the Hole, a wonderful film that I definitely recommend to people if you haven't seen it. It's just it's dark and it's cynical, but it still has a lot of heart. Dazed and Confused, it's just one that I really enjoy. Kiss Me Deadly is one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my favorite noirs. Blowout is a movie that broke my heart, and I absolutely adore that film. Sweet Smell Success is one of the best written, dialogue written films that I've ever seen, and I'm a writer. I grew up like movies like Scanners. Investigation of Citizen Above Suspicion was one that I had heard of, but I hadn't seen until then. The Zadichi set, I had seen a few of, but to get them all was pretty amazing. To see things like Harry Carey was sent to me by a viewer that knew my taste pretty well because I really do like that film. Videodrome is one I grew up with. Black Narcissus was sent to me by a viewer, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm a massive Pelham Pressburger fan, and I think before Narcissus, I'd probably seen like The Red Shoes and The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, but this one became my favorite. I had Carnival of Souls sent me by Dave, Cinema Dave, and he sent me the Night of the Living Dead as well because he knew that I loved that older horror stuff, and I never forgot that. M was one of those movies that I saw as a kid, and it kind of wrecked me. Picnic at Hanging Rocks, a movie that frustrated the hell of me when I first saw it, but it was just so gorgeous. And it let me gain an appreciation for cinema that challenged me to do something a little bit different. It's weird. Amarcord. I lived in a small town, in a fishing village of like around 3,000 people, so that type of cinema like stood out. Movies like The Lady Vanishes, To Be or Not to Be, it's an amazing film. Monsieur Verdot is a very very different Charlie Chaplin film. Gate of Hell, I actually bought that on eBay for like $5. Really like F is for Fake is one of those releases that I'm shocked that I hadn't seen, but was one of the greatest blind buys I ever picked up. Safety Last, a wonderful film. Pierre Roteau does some amazing stuff. The Second is one of the greatest films of its type that I've seen. Devil's Backbone. I'm going to be hopefully meeting Del Toro this year. Rosemary's Baby. I'm not a fan of Polanski as a person, but that movie scared the hell out of me as a kid when movies like The Exorcist didn't. Ministry of Fear, Purple Noon, the original Talent of Mr. Ripley. Godzilla, the complete Jean Vigo, the great grandfather or the grandfather of French New Wave cinema, where it all came from. The guy whose thing brought about Lindsay Anderson's film. We got The Killing Year because I'm a massive Kubrick fan. We have Modern Times. We have House, which is a batshit insane film that I did not see prior to Criterion. Benjamin Button, which I bought for $5. I still don't like it. Bottle Rocket kind of got me into Wes Anderson. La Deme Souffle, which my better half, because she was getting me into Jean Gabin. We get things here like, what is that one? Science Fiction, which was a blind buy that I loved. The Furies, I loved, and Barbara Stanwyck, which is a fantastic one to watch. Mishima, another one that was sent to me by a viewer, is really great. Kicking and Screaming, actually about at a Value Village. I love Noah Baumbach, so it was really good. Aquatic, same thing. Klaus Zurisk is one of my favorites that I recommend everybody pick up. Monsters and Madmen, I wish this was still in print so that everybody could get it. But things like Eyes of the Face, Le Corbeau, which has been reprinted. Tunes of Glory is a wonderful example of clashing. Royal Tenenbaums, of course. The Last Wave, and because I needed more Peter Weir after I'd seen the Picnic at Hanging Rock, but about the DVD edition because I found it at a SPCA store. The Beastie Boys stuff because I really like their music and I like Spike Jones, Chasing Amy, classic, Rushmore, The 39 Steps, Samurai Trilogy, Seven Samurai, Night to Remember was the first one that I ever picked up. Jacques Demy, Red River, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Don't Look Now, Mulholland Drive, Valerie and the Weekend Wonders was a blind buy for me. Jackie Chan was the last Criterion I ever picked up. Those are the films that I like, the films that I grew up with, the films that actually mean a lot to me. That is cinema that I can actively say, that I can honestly say, that I can look at this, look into this camera, look kind of, virtually look in your eyes and say, that's me. That encapsulates a lot of what I love. That's okay. I mean, and some of them you might love, and there may be some there that just aren't your style. So Robert, look at the type of films that you find that you go back to, or that you like. So there may be things like, say, I like noir. So, and adding on to that, it got me to branch out, like, and I hadn't known that I'd been watching it at the time, was like neo noir. So I like things like there's a whole bunch of like Imprint did a bunch of neo noir sets, are all out print, unfortunately, because I love neo noir and the stuff like the like Johnny Handsome stuff like that, just really good stuff. To Live and Die in L.A. There's a lot of the stuff that was done with James Woods back in the day. There could be like films. What's the difference between noir and, well, noir is set at a specific time frame. So you're looking around like like the 30s or 40s. It's a type of cinema that's usually it doesn't end well. There's usually like a kind of a femme fatale. There's a lot of like German expressionism in in the way that it's filmed. Robert Mitchum, the La Noir, like stuff like Double Indemnity. Now, that's Fred McMurray. Now, Neo Noir is that now set with a more kind of a neon, a more modern aesthetic. So things like Michael Mann, a lot of Michael Mann's work would, like, a lot of that is neo noir. Like stuff like Heat would be like neo noir. Stuff like To Live and Die in L.A. would be like neo noir. A lot of Coen Brothers early work, especially like Blood Simple, stuff like that. That would be like neo noir. So like it's still that aesthetic of what the original noir had, but now it's in color, and the use of color can be used much in the same way that the camera works and the angles and the style of German expressionism is used to deal with original noir. It's a fascinating genre, and it's great stuff there. I should view most of the films before buying if it's just about expanding his interest. There's the thing though, not everything's available to view. I think I'm going to say something, and this might be a bit controversial, but I'm going to say it because I think it's important. Blood Simple, I definitely recommend Blood Simple. I think you'd like that. It's a fantastic. Coen Brothers did some really great stuff early on, and Blood Simple was one of those. Postman Always Rings twice, by the way. Both the original and the remake are both incredible films. Oh yeah, the controversial statement I was going to make. Streaming's made us lazy. It's in saying that streaming gives us more choice is a fallacy. It gives us an algorithm that gives us the illusion of choice by showing us what we watch or what we watched early on. So something like a Netflix or Hulu or Tubi or whatever, they have like it's programmed to look at what you're watching and recommend more of that, which is okay in and of itself. But really think about that for a second. It's an algorithm that's showing you what you've seen, wants to recommend more like what you've seen. Where's the journey in that? Where's the discovery in that? There isn't one. You're being fed an echo chamber of what a program thinks you like. The difference between a streaming service and walking in to a video store, for instance, is that there was that a video store might have like recommendations from the staff, but honestly, unless we really knew that staff member, how often did we use those recommendations for real? What we did, we walked to the store and we went through things and we discovered things. We found out titles, genres, films that we never would have thought about before. Not because they were movies that reminded us of movies that we'd already seen. We had comfort films for that. I didn't have to watch, I didn't have somebody tell me, okay, if you like Friday the 13th, you might like this. There's always those wonderful films where I went in thinking I was going to get one thing, but looking through the aisles, discovering something else completely. At a time when I truly think that there's so much information out there that thinking for oneself and discovery should be so important, it's become the opposite. We've become complacent, we've become lazy, and we let an algorithm show us things that they think we might like, rather than going out and discovering things ourselves. Might be talking crazy, but for me, that's one of the biggest downfalls of streaming. I mean, like, yeah, that's the thing. You'd find stuff on TV. I was a kid. I'm a pre-VHS guy. Look at this. Look at this beard, right? Look at the gray in this beard. You know I'm a pre-VHS guy. Uh, you'd be at home on a Saturday afternoon, or you'd be up late at night, and you'd stumble upon some film. Here's a perfect example. I don't think that from what I watch, like on any of the streaming services that we don't have very many right now, would recommend some of the films that I actually really enjoyed. I was up late one night, and it was CBC late night, and whatever came on, I watched. So there was a film, John Garfield, Joan Crawford, called Humoresque, and it's a tragic romance between a violinist and a rich, jaded, like woman. I don't think young Aaron, or even older Aaron, based on that like description, would like gravitate towards watching that film. Now, come 2025, and even back then, as a kid, Humoresque became quickly one of my all-time favorite films. It shut up Joan Crawford in my eyes, and John Garfield. I don't think I'd seen Scarface at that point either, the original Scarface. And I think I saw it because of Humoresque, because Paul Muni is in that one. But it was like that, those type of films, or the women, because being up late one night and watching the movie that was on, that if I'd probably seen it in a TV guide, or I'd been shown it, just the cover of it, I wouldn't have picked it up. This discovery got me into a whole new aspect and a whole new type of cinema. That in and of itself is part of what's missing right now. So if I can recommend anything to you guys out there, go out and discover yourselves. Some like what you like. Don't fall back on the algorithm. Don't even fall back on me or other you. Like, we're okay for a guideline, but the biggest guideline at the end of the day is going to be you and your experiences. I love noir. I love classic older cinema. You may be a much younger person that might love the stuff. You might be a person that hates this stuff. And either way, that's okay. But your journey has to be your journey. So just watch a movie in the LG channels. They have the movie was already halfway through when I began watching. I enjoyed it. I purposely wanted to watch a movie that had already begun. That's actually a really neat thing to do because you go in. I remember when like Shutter started, and it wasn't just like go on Shutter and like find the movie that you want to watch, but they had actually had I don't know, maybe they still do. I don't know if they do or not. They had this like online channel, and you go to the Shutter website, and they'd have movie streaming, like kind of back to back, and you just go in. I remember going in, and I think Turkey Run was on. It was like right half through, and there's this movie. It's got Steve Railsback and Olivia Hussey, Carmen Duncan, who I had obsessed with when she was in like a show a soap opera we watched called Another World. I was in love with her, and she's playing this like another bad girl character. Rest in peace, Miss Duncan. And I actually had. They still have it. Nice. I love that thing. I actually had in my collection the movie under the name Escape 2000 because I was collecting Anchor Bay titles. But you know that I'd collected enough titles that I hadn't got around to Escape 2000 yet. I was unaware that that was Turkey Run. It was also put out by Severin Films, by the way, and it's a really fun film. I'd watched like a lot of people my age. I'd gone through this era of like when exploitation became a thing, when like Australian films were kind of the the big thing to watch. Where guys like Jacko came about with like TV series like The Highwayman with Sam Jones. I'm really aging myself by telling you that, but it was around the Crocodile Dundee era. That ain't a knife. That's a knife. Hey, Alex, welcome, man. Hope you're doing well too, and I hope you're having a great weekend there. You got me staying up all night with Malcolm the other day, by the way. But I will forgive you for that because it was a pretty good stream. I don't think Malcolm's awake yet, though. It's just an early morning stream because I'm having like coffee. Oh, it is important. It's important to go, and maybe that's what my name of this video should be. Like just to move past the algorithm and find the stuff that you love. Companies and releases can make me fall in and out of love at times with stuff. Have you seen Dead of Night yet? Oh, you're in for a treat, I think. I really like Dead of Night. I actually got the Studio Canal edition of that one. I'd love to upgrade it. Imprint put out Dead of Night, Flesh and Fantasy together as a double box set, and I don't think I've seen Flesh and Fantasy. That one has Charles Lawton in it, so I kind of want to get that one down the road. It's on a set kind of like this right here. But either way, you can get Dead of Night. It's I think Kino put out as well. It's a it's a good one, and know that there may be things in Dead of Night that you've seen elsewhere because it's an earlier like anthology film, so there's been tropes since then that that may be more known now that weren't back then. The evil or the is this dummy alive, is this dummy not alive type thing is a massive part of Dead of Night. It's one of the scary sequences in the film. And of course, there's been movies like Magic with Anthony Hopkins since then. There's been so many like Killer Dummy, Killer Doll movies, Taki Tina from Twilight Zone. But this was the genesis of it. This was the start of it. Sometimes that's true, because I swear sometimes like I'm not sure if you're on Alex got Discord, by the way. I'm not sure if you're on that. I'll be like in bed late at night, and I'll hear my Discord like notifications ring, and like Malcolm will be on there chatting, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Don't you sleep? But I can't say anything because I'm like an insomniac myself. So there you go. I have my own times. I have the Aaron time zone. Um, but yeah, definitely, Robert. I would recommend Dead of Night. It's a really good film. It's got the wraparound that now is almost in of itself something that's been seen. Do I still get the LG? I don't know if I do, gaming. Like, remember that I'm in Morocco. So a lot of these channels are region locked to their specific things. I used to like the LG channels back in the day when I was in St. John's. I had like an LG TV back there as well, and I had an LG. I think I had an LG 3D TV too back in the day, and remember there's a 3D channel, and it's how I kind of got into like into some K-pop stuff, and how my youngest daughter discovered K-pop, and then went on to like become like for a while I was really big into it. She like knew BTS before BTS became like super famous. I was buying her like import CDs long before they were going out and making a McDonald's a McDonald's thing. Show TV channel. I don't think I do actually. Being in Morocco, I'd like for instance I got a PlayStation 5, and when I was in Canada, PlayStation 5 was had like a whole series of like movie channels. There's over 100 free movies to watch, and I was watching them. One, because I was working in Canada at the time. I stayed in there for 3 months before I came back. I was working, and I bought a PlayStation 5 while I was there, and then I just started like playing PlayStation night and watching films and just relax. And I was really enjoying the channel. So I got back to Morocco. I set up my PlayStation. So one of the first things I did was, "Oh, have a great day, man. I hope you have a good work day." And it goes really fast so you can enjoy your weekend. But I turned it on and like, "Oh, this is not available in your region." 3D, my better half can't watch 3D either. And like my dad can. I'm not sure if my mom can, but I know a lot of people in my life like just can't. Like, I think it's one of those things like inherently in you. If you either can or can't watch it. Some people get headaches. Some people just can't see it. There's some people that can't see it. There's like for a short period of time, there were these things kind of like what are they called? Like stereogram, like these type like hidden image pictures, right? And it would be like it would look like a jumbled mess, and you'd stare at it. And if you stared at it like in the right way for long enough, then the picture would come out, kind of like just come right out at you. Now there's a whole bunch of people that could stare till the cows come home, as my grandparents would say, and they're going to see Jack because it's just they're not wired that way. That's the same thing with 3D. Yeah, I used to love those things, and I remember that like I think it was the Mallrats, where the guy's kind of looking really hard to try and see the picture. He's at the mall and he can't see it for the longest time. He's really frustrated, and then this kid comes by and sees it right away. Did my light just go out? Oh, I hit the thing. The power was gone. It's exactly, Chris. Epic scene. Mallrats is such an underrated film. Such a good Kevin Smith film that I think people like ragged on way too much. Uh, but yeah, I used to sometimes I could see the image right away. Other times it took me a frustratingly long amount of time to see it. I remember we had a book once with a bunch of them in it. I got it from like Doubleday Book Club. You guys remember Doubleday? And I was I'm looking and looking and looking. I could see a bunch of them were coming out. I was so proud. And there was this one for some reason. It was the coloring, it was like the pattern. I couldn't see it. And I think when my kids saw it, and I was like, "Yeah, that's what it is." I saw that, and it was I think 3 or 4 days later that I actually seen it, like compared to what I when I pretended that I could actually see it. So there's always that too. Anyway, I won't keep you guys too long. It's a Friday. I wanted to come in here, have a conversation with you guys, talk about cinema, talk about some of the stuff that I love. Uh, my voice is going again, and I know I probably shouldn't be on because I am under the weather and I'm taking cold medication. But I like talking to you guys. I like doing these lives. It's a lot of fun for me, and I love the group and the people that we have on here by far and large. So if you're new to this and you enjoy this, please come back for more. If you want more concise stuff, I do pre-tapes, and I am proud of the stuff that I've been doing more recently because I think that there's a lot of stuff that I've been putting out that has been a lot better. Have you ever purged your? Okay, that next question. Looks smarter than it did when you were in Canada. It appears that way because it's more spread out, and because a large portion of my collection is at the farm. So I still have over 10,000 in my collection. Probably more now because I've bought more since then. But I did purge some before I left. That's so I gave a bunch of stuff to my kids, including my entire Laserdisc collection. Laserdisc. I'm actually looking towards getting a new Laserdisc player in the near future. I was looking at a collection that a guy had with his Laserdisc. It was one of those that played both sides without turning it over, and it sold. Unfortunately, I thought I wasn't going to sell it. That nobody else was going to buy Laserdisc but me. But apparently somebody did. Thank you, Robert. I really appreciate that, man. From the boutique battle bashes, those are so much fun. I really think we should have won with the Scream Factory one in the last one, but damn it, Jake was so good, and I was so overtired. But it was so much fun to do. But yeah, I will come back, Robert, again. Check out. We got a Discord where we chat and stuff like that as well. Completely free, and I've got a Facebook page too if you want to check that out. I am hopefully anxiously waiting uh, the morning show TV series to come, and I'm hoping that they send it my way. Trust me, I think Scream should have won, especially right now when Scream has gone through such a hard time, and like the whole like groove thing. I was going to say groove, it's groove, right? Whole groove thing. It's the anniversary. I really think they should have won that one there. I There's a couple times where I like had like judges. Why did you choose what you chose? But they're the judges, so you can't go against the judges. With that being said, hopefully they'll have me on next year or whenever they do it again. It's been a while since I've been on like Mike's channel, but hopefully I'll get back on the channel again sometime in the near future. It was kind of an accident that I got on there because I subbed for somebody else that wasn't able to do it because they were like actually making a film at the time. But it was so much fun. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend. I'm sure I'll be on again here if my voice doesn't like totally go. I'll see you guys soon. And watch what you like what you watch. Move against the algorithm. Be your own watcher, be your own collector. And I'll see you next time.